Hi there, my name is Ian Ashby and I'm the lead pastor at New Frontiers Church in Portsmouth, New Hampshire in the United States. My wife Emma and I moved here with our 4 children back in 2002. We moved from the UK, and so we've got some understanding ourselves about what it means to move cross-culturally. Fairly early on, the church we started here was involved in sending people overseas to the Arabian Peninsula. And I think, over the years, we've gained some experience of what it means to be a sending church, both positive and negative, that I can share with you today. We currently have one family in Turkey where for the past 10 years, they've been involved in helping to plant a church and now are leading that church and have done an amazing job. And we're still very much involved with them, providing them with pastoral oversight, financial support where it's been needed, and partnering with the apostolic sphere that they are working with. We have another couple in Oman who have been there for a couple of years now. They've been learning the language, getting enculturated, both have jobs there and just have been doing a fantastic work, building relationships with local Omanis and even started doing some storytelling. We have also recently sent short-term teams to places like Nepal to train people in biblical storying. And we've sent several people to go and live in Brooklyn in New York City to plant a church there. And while I know that's not overseas, the melting pot of cultures that you get in a massive urban center like New York City makes it about as cross-cultural as you can get. Now, all of these people have been sent out from our church, and we have taken the primary responsibility for their pastoral care, for their financial support where necessary, and in some cases, we're also apostolically involved in bringing strategic wisdom and direction. Now listen, we're not experts in this. We are still learning. But as I said, I think we've gained some experience. We're kind of growing in this and have done over the last few years. And hopefully that will prove helpful to any church that is considering sending people cross-culturally. So let me now just share 3 things that I feel we've learned to do well and which would be important for any sending church. And then I'll share 2 mistakes we've made that we would do differently now. Okay, so first of all, 3 key things: envisioning, training, and supporting. All right, envisioning the church, training people to be sent, and supporting them over the long haul. So the first thing, envisioning the church. If you're going to be successful in cross-cultural mission, if you're going to be a sending church, then it really does need for the whole church to be involved, right? It's going to be the vision of the whole church, understanding that cross-cultural mission is a church-based initiative. The people we send are an extension of us. They're a part of us. It's not that they go on a mission and the rest of us stay home. It's not something they just do on their own. No, we are all involved in the mission, the whole church, in praying, in giving, in caring for those we send, and so on. Right? Their cares are our cares. Their successes are our successes. We're in this together. In fact, if I can just quote one of the couples that we sent to Turkey 10 years ago, they said this. They said, when we look back at what we have done with the local church, as opposed to missions organizations, it works so much better. We feel accountable to people that we know and love. The church is not an investor to be pumped for money, but fellow partners in everything we do. And that's really how we see it. We're in this partnership together. But the sending church needs to be constantly envisioned about that. Right? It's something we've had to work hard at so that new people that join us who may not personally know the couple we sent to Turkey can feel personally invested and connected to them. So for us, it's meant teaching, praying, giving, and communicating. All right? on a regular basis, teaching the church about why this is important, regular times of praying together as a church, praying for the specific needs, to get people caught up in the mission, opportunities to give to the mission. We have a big missions offering once a year where people are able to invest in what we are doing together. And then there are times of communication where we might show, for example, the church video updates, or maybe FaceTime an overseas couple to interview them live on a Sunday morning, right? We work hard at keeping them and the nations before the church. So that's the first thing, envisioning the church. The second thing is training the people that we send. Right? We are committed to training people cross-culturally to do whatever we can to prepare them for the mission. Now, we use a training that's been developed in New Frontiers called From the Nations to the Nations, which we now have available online. It's been taught by Dave Devenish, Andy Martin, and Sam Poe. And in fact, we are blessed to have Sam Poe on staff at our own church here. But we've also brought Dave Devenish over and Andy Martin to teach at regional conferences that we have hosted at our church. It's an investment that we've made, but we believe it's a really important one. And not only is it vital for preparing people to go, but also in helping to identify others who may feel called to work cross-culturally, as well as having the added bonus of keeping our own church kind of engaged and envisioned about the nations. We've also in the past partnered with organizations with specialist ministries, like, for example, Reaching the Islamic World. We've sent candidates for 2-week immersive boot camps, where they get assessed and we get a report and maybe some action points, things that they need to work on. And then, of course, there would be our own counselling and conversations that we would be having with people on an ongoing basis, people that we're preparing to send. So, for example, if they're married, being able to ask them questions about their relationship, asking people about their finances, helping them to prepare a budget, asking about potential weaknesses. We want to make sure that they are in an emotionally and spiritually healthy place. And so therefore we would connect them with different people who may be experienced in helping with these things. I think one thing that we've learned is you really cannot over-prepare, right? So if we are sending people out to what is essentially the front line of a battle zone, then you can be sure the enemy will exploit whatever weaknesses there are. So, training and preparing people to go is essential. Having said that, I don't think you can ever fully prepare, right? I mean, you can't foresee every situation. There's still a certain amount that has to be worked out and resolved on the ground, in dependence on God and with the support of the local church. Which then takes me on to the third key thing, which is supporting the people we send over the long haul if necessary, and I see kind of 3 main aspects to that. There's prayer, communication, and finances. I've mentioned prayer as a means of envisioning the church, helping them to be involved, but it's also like a lifeline for those that we send out. Again, we can't just send people into the battle zone without providing air cover. And we've seen how essential regular and specific prayer is to those that we send. Ask anyone who's been sent overseas and they'll tell you how much they value that. So, for us here, for a number of years now, we've had a group of people who have met monthly just to pray for those that we have sent out. But also when we gather the whole church to pray, or maybe when we have Sunday mornings where we get updates from overseas, we always make sure that we are praying for specific needs and requests that we've been given. And that, of course, requires the next thing, which is regular communication. In the early days, we really didn't do so well at this. I think it's just so easy, isn't it, to get busy in church life, and before you know it, weeks or months can go by without any communication until there's a crisis, and of course that's not good. What we realized is that we needed a specific plan for communication, and there really needed to be someone who was responsible for actioning it. So now we have different people responsible for those that we've sent out, who have a regular scheduled time to talk with those we've sent overseas, and who will report back to our pastoral team, make us aware of any needs and prayer requests. So for example, for our couple in Turkey, one of the lead couples in our church Skypes with them every 2 weeks on a Monday afternoon, and have also been out to visit them in Turkey so that they can know firsthand what it's like for them to live there. And they'll be asking them questions about their marriage, about family life, about things that they may feel stressed by, about their ministry, about their finances, and so on. And also, if there is someone else involved with them, apostolically, for example, as there is in Turkey, then we'll be in communication with them as well. In fact, that's how we found out that this particular couple was in dire need of a break. They were getting burned out, and so their apostolic leader asked us whether we could help. We let the church know, and we took up a special offering, and were able to pay for a vacation for their family. Again, it's why regular communication is so important. And just a word about finances. Now, we do believe it's the responsibility of our church to work with people we send to come up with a financial plan. We don't want them to be having to be fundraising all the time like so many missionaries do. We feel the sending church, possibly in partnership with others, should take on that responsibility so that they don't have that pressure. Now, most of those that we have sent have skills that have enabled them to get jobs and support themselves. But there have been times and seasons when we have needed to support them financially, whether part-time or full-time, either to go to school to learn the language, or maybe to be released to do a specific work. There's also additional things like paying for travel so that they can get home and see family from time to time. Things have to be talked through and budgeted for, like having an exit strategy, if they're in danger or have to leave the country in an emergency. Again, these things are things we've learned along the way. But it means there really needs to be a regular review of budgets and needs. And it's an important way that the church can support and partner with those that they send out. So again, those three key things we're striving to do well: envisioning the local church, training those that we are sending, and then the ongoing communication, and the support with prayer and finances and so on. Now, what about the things we've not done so well? What about our mistakes? Let me just be clear. We've made mistakes on just about everything I've mentioned so far, all right? It's really been a learning process, something that we've had to keep working at, and we're still learning as we go along. But let me just share two specific things that come to mind that we would do differently. One has to do with values, and the other has to do with re-entry. With values, it's important that the people that we are working with share the same core values. We're a values-driven movement. One of the reasons why we can do so much more together than we can apart is because of shared values. So the first team that we sent out to the Arabian Peninsula did not all share the same values. The team leader had not been in our church very long, and he and his wife had come from a parachurch organization, but he was a very gifted guy with a clear call to the Middle East, spoke Arabic, was a great evangelist, great guy. I love him. But once the team were on the ground there in the Middle East, things started going badly. There was conflict, there was tension. It became toxic, and it was hard to resolve from afar. But you see, it came from not sharing the same values. like not having the same understanding of grace, or working in team, or how apostolic ministry works. And so after about 18 months, it ended with some of the team having to come home and us parting company with the leader there. But sadly, some people were hurt from their experience of what happened. And it just made me realize not only the importance of shared values, but also how important it is that there is just one main voice speaking with authority into a situation like that. That people who are being sent are clear about who they are working with apostolically. And if that's not the sending church, right, if the sending church has more of a pastoral and support role, then there needs to be good communication and relationship between the parties involved. The different roles need to be defined and the expectations made clear. The second thing that came to me was about re-entry. When people come home after an extended time in another culture, I think it's a mistake to underestimate the effect it can have on someone, or on a marriage, for example. When they've been kind of immersed in a different culture, on the front line of spiritual warfare. I think that is a mistake that we've made. Giving people leadership responsibility or putting them in another frontline situation before they were ready, before they'd really processed their past experience with some good pastoral counselling and follow-up. I think we would take much more time and care now to do that in the future. All right, so there's some things I hope that you will find helpful from what we've been learning, as well as some mistakes that we've made. But if there was perhaps one thing I would conclude with, one main thing, right, that I would want to leave you with, it would be this. Don't underestimate the importance of prayer. Right? All the other practical things I've mentioned, of course, are helpful and are needed, but they won't accomplish much apart from prayer. A sending church needs to be a praying church, because after all, it's God that we're really partnering with, and it's his mission and not ours. As Hudson Taylor famously said, God's work done in God's way will never lack God's supply. Now, if you want to discuss anything I've shared here, please do get in touch with me. You can email me at hello@newfrontierschurch.com.